We are with another edition of Three Dog Thursday here on the Winning Cures Everything platforms. I am the somewhat competent host, TJ Rives. He is Gary Seegers, who I bow to every time that I get a chance to be with this man on his platforms. He's the owner, the operator, the purveyor of Winning Cures, the website, the YouTube page, etc. Gary, I mean this every time, but I sincerely mean it now. It's great to see you because last week it was wild. Post-Hurricane Milton, from the porch of the in-laws to be able to get something done on Three Dog Thursday. So I'm glad to be back with you and some normalcy being restored this week and some college football underdogs to talk about. How are you, my friend, on this Thursday?
I am. It's fantastic. Way better than what you've had to deal with. I know that. I mean, good gracious. Broadcasting live from your cell phone, right? Just bananas.
Yes.
It worked out pretty well, though. I think the viewers were very happy with the fact that you were giving updates. You know, you gave out picks that did pretty well last week, and yeah, actually told them what was going on. But yes, I mean this football season has been absolutely bananas.
Yes,
and I love it. Like this is we talked about shades of 2007. I mean, we are right in the thick of this thing. There's no dominant team.
Yeah, and
Texas.
And I think it's indicative each and every week where we try to peg some underdogs, and we keep having underdogs that outright win over and over and over again in the biggest of the games. So this is what we do. We come up with three underdogs against the number. Sometimes he and I might agree on one, so you might get one less. That's not the case today. You got six underdogs coming up on the show. So whether you have found us through YouTube, through social media, links to the program, the Three Dog Thursday podcast. If you're only hearing us, come find the video show on Gary's YouTube platform, Winning Cures Everything. Thank you for doing so, and make it a point to be with us here all the way through the college football season as we give out the underdogs and have fun doing so. Yes, last week, Arizona State on a Friday night was very good to me, and also the Oregon Ducks on Saturday night with Ohio State in one of the most watched college football games of the year. Very good as well. So 2-1. We won't talk about Oklahoma with Texas, although I can give you a preview. I'm going right back at Texas again this week near the end of the show. Stand by. But the Sooners could not make me 3 for 3 last week because they couldn't score. They couldn't get anything done. Hey, back to that Oregon game with Ohio State. The NCAA has now come out with a modification to the rules from here on out because of what Dan Lanning did unintentionally, intentionally, wink, wink or not, which is on the second to last play of the game, purposely have 12 people on the field trying to defend because they know they're going to get a penalty, and they've got a better chance with 12 guys to stop the 11 guys on the other team, and it ran time off the clock. And so now what the NCAA has said, Gary, is no longer is that the case. Nothing like changing the rules mid-year, like you and I have talked before.
They realized they got caught.
That's now a dead ball situation, and put time back on the clock if you've got 12 guys on the field to basically do away with this defensive advantage. What are your thoughts on this, especially changing the rule in the middle of the year, Gary?
Do you remember Bill Belichick with the whole punt thing against Mike Vrabel?
Yes.
How many years ago that was in the playoffs? You found a rule, you can take advantage of it, and then once the league actually figures out, oh crap, we never thought anybody would do this, because why would you give up yardage to do this? Well, the yards don't mean as much as the time when there's only 10 seconds left. This was a masterclass by Dan Lanning. I know Nick Saban and that bunch had to be so thrilled to see somebody in a position to actually do this. It helped win them the ball game. I mean, it was just, that was a genius move. As far as changing the rule in the middle of the year, when you see something like this that can affect outcomes, because now that you've seen somebody do it in a high-stakes situation where there were millions upon millions of eyeballs on it, other people were going to start doing it. So you got to get out ahead of it. They do have these emergency things in place for a reason, and if everybody agrees, whoa, that's a little crazy, I agree with them doing it.
Well, and in the NFL, what the rule has been and how strictly it's enforced or not is that if the offensive team has 12 people in the huddle for more than like 2 or 3 seconds, forget about if they break the huddle and come to the line, the flag is immediate. And we have seen that In fact, in the Buccaneer game, a wild game, as wild a game as I have been a part of, Gary, in 20 years on the Buccaneer sideline post-Hurricane Milton for that Buccaneer comeback last week, the Bucs got caught with 12 guys in the huddle. Before they had ever broken the huddle, the flags were thrown. So that's the NFL. In the NFL, on defense, if both teams are in formation, if the defensive team has 12 players and both teams are in formation, it is supposed to be an immediate flag. And I assume, the reason I bring all this up, I assume that's what they're now going to go to for enforcement, that if the defensive team specifically has 12 guys essentially that they've broken the huddle with, and or you're trying to shift a DB on or off from the sideline, if they're in formation with the offense in formation, you should see the flag. That should be it right there. Let's see how well that gets enforced.
Yes, let's see. Let's see, because that's the other thing is we've got this rule in place. Let's see if all the referees actually know how to enforce it once we get there.
An instant replay as well. All right, again, we've settled in. We're doing the show live on Thursday here on Gary's platform. Again, if you're hearing us in podcast, you can come see what we look like as well. 3 underdogs from each one of us in college football simply to cover. We're going with the number as we do the show live on Thursday. If that number goes up or down, which we've seen that numerous times after this show, Gary, where the number's gone up or down after Thursday, it doesn't matter. We've locked it in as of today. The price is the price, good or bad. Where do you want to begin in this crazy season in the third Saturday of October? Where do you want to begin for Three Dog Thursday, sir?
Let's go over to Berkeley. I know that sounds a little strange, but let's go NC State going to Cal. And yes, NC State has been absolutely atrocious this year. They are 0-6 against the number. Grayson McCall, the quarterback, is not playing. He has been injured a couple of different times now. But my number on this has Cal by 7.5. My number based on the last 4 weeks of stats has Cal by 5.7. So it is well within that 10.5. And one thing that I know is that, yes, you always bet Justin Wilcox as a double-digit dog, but I know that you never bet on him as a double-digit favorite. He does not cover those numbers. And I thought I had written down my notes. That's what I was over here trying to find, is to figure out what the number is. I know it's not good. He does not do well as a favorite.
Well, let me just interject. While you look, remember, I went at Miami with Justin Wilcox's number as a double-digit underdog in particular. And the number before the Miami game 2 weeks ago was, I believe, 9-2, either 7-2 or 9-2. I think it was 9-2 in his previous 11 as a double-digit underdog. And even though they blew the lead, it was an easy cover against Miami to make him 10-2 in the last 12 as a double-digit underdog. So I don't know about the double-digit favorite part, which is what you're going against, but go ahead.
I've got the number. As a double-digit favorite, Cal is 2-8 against the spread in the last 10. They are 6-14 in the last 20 against the spread. So they do win a lot of these games, but it is never with margin. Like they just don't cover that number. And in this situation, NC State, I know that they have not played well, but I like CJ Bailey, the new quarterback. I like what he's doing. You start to look at these numbers, and Cal has certainly put scares into people, but they are number 61 in predicted points added margin. NC State is number 71. NC State is not as bad as we're making them out to be. I think that they can do a few things. Their defense has not been good by any stretch of the imagination, but Cal's offense is middling. I think that's the proper term for it. So yeah, like NC State, they can throw the ball a little bit. I think that Cal is good, not great. And when you start to look at things like the fact that Cal has been all over the map here, they played. Let's see. So they had a bye week after they lost at FSU. They got their bye week. Then they played Miami at home. Tight game. Close loss.
Should have won the game. I mean, you're up 25 in the second half. You have to win that game. They collapse. Go ahead.
Last week, they go to Pitt. Should have won the game. Won the turnover.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Yes. At the end, late. Yeah.
Exactly. 17-15. But they had to go from Berkeley all the way to Pitt to lose another close game. And now they're going to come back to Berkeley where they are expected to be double-digit favorites. Like, get out of here with this. Come on.
All right. Now, last week, I debuted the cards. Look at you. You have your prop. You have NC State on the card, plus 10.5.
Yes.
The Wolfpack. Very interesting for that matchup in Berkeley. And again, we got to get used to all this stuff because SMU is playing Stanford this weekend, and it's an ACC game out on the farm. This is an ACC game. NC State again at Cal, and that's underdog number
those
1.
Teams, by the way, so close to the Atlantic coast, right? Isn't that what this is about?
Going which direction? Across the Pacific or across the North American continent? I don't know which one would be closer.
It should be the conference. They need to change.
The Coast Conference. We just won't say which coast. So anyway, that's underdog number 1 here for 3 Dog Thursday. Okay, interesting. I'm going to stick with the ACC and with an early game. Speaking of Miami and Cal, I'm going to go right back at the Miami Hurricanes, who are coming off of a bye week. They've got an explosive offense. Cam Ward is a Heisman candidate right now, especially when last we saw them with that heroic fourth quarter comeback and making all the plays in Berkeley. But again, that's a game that they're being blistered in for a lot of. Virginia Tech, shoulda, coulda, woulda on the Fail Mary, could have beaten them as well. And through 3 quarters, South Florida, USF, here in Tampa, was right with Miami. I got Louisville at home. I got a Louisville team that already has a couple of home wins, including beating SMU recently at home. This is an early game in the ACC starting at noon Eastern time on Saturday. And my number for Jeff Brom, how about this, Gary Seegers? He has only been an underdog at Louisville at home one other time. That was Notre Dame a year ago in year 1. They won the game outright. Earlier this year, they were an underdog at Notre Dame a couple of weeks ago. They pushed in that game, getting 7 points.
Probably should have won that one outright.
Probably should have, but Notre Dame wins. But that still keeps Jeff Brom's record at Purdue and at Louisville to 20-13-2. I will take that as an underdog against the number. He's 20-13-2. And I believe it is the case that he's 3-1 the last 4 times as an underdog, period, at Louisville. But this is a home dog, or you have to be at least like 3-0-1 or 2-1-1 with the push against Notre Dame. It's rare the last 2 years they've been a home dog. You know what I'm doing? I'm taking the 4 points, baby. I got the cards in the early matchup. Give me Louisville in the ACC against early on Miami. I know Miami's got firepower. I watched you guys on the BetUS show, Parker and Kyle with you on the 2 BetUS college football shows on their platforms. I'm a regular viewer. I watched you guys talk about, what did Parker say? They're going to come out and maybe early and often just put a bunch of touchdowns on Louisville and make this demoralizing for Brom's team. I understand Miami's got firepower. Yeah. I just think Louisville hangs in. One more thought from you on this?
My number on this is Miami -11. However, my number based on the last 4 weeks of stats is Miami -3.5. So, look, can I interest you in a 5? I know you've got a 4 on your card.
My card. Wait. Do I need to edit my card? My card says
the card.
Wait, we can do this. I can't have your 11 from your numbers, right? But the next best thing is to scratch the card out from Gary and make sure that now I'm going to get a cards +5 is what you're telling me. That's not 45. Yes. I got to make sure that you don't see that 4. That's cards plus the 5.
There's a couple of offshore, but as a matter of fact, it is across the board 5 now. It's getting steamed a little bit as we speak. There's a couple of offshore spots where it's already hit 5.5. So people are liking Miami right now, but that gives you more value on the opposite side. Louisville at home, here's the issue for me. Miami is coming off of a bye, and Louisville has been through an absolute gauntlet. Looking at what they've done. Georgia Tech at Notre Dame, SMU at Virginia, and now they got to deal with Miami. I mean, it's a bad schedule spot for
yes, especially with Miami off the bye, like you mentioned.
But it is Brom. I mean, who do you trust more as a coach?
And Shuck has done well, and the running back, the name escapes me. Isaac Harden, right?
Is it Isaac? I thought it was Isaac Brown.
It might be Isaac Brown. My bad on that.
But he's from Florida.
And I should know that, therefore. But he's got like over 500 yards rushing. He's run it some. Shuck is the former. He's been injured throughout his career. Former Texas Tech quarterback. I think they do enough. Obviously,
Isaac Brown is the guy, by the way, and he 8.61 yards per carry.
So that's good. All right. So Canes at Louisville, early noon Eastern time. I will take Louisville in that game. It is 3-Dog Thursday. I'm hanging with Gary Seegers on the Winning Cures Everything platform. If you're only hearing us on the podcast, come find us on his outlets, winningcureseverything.com, as well as the Winning Cures YouTube page. We're doing this live on Thursday. And for the audience, they see it on the screen if they're watching us. If you're trying to get into any of these games, that Louisville matchup with Miami. I did the game 4 seasons ago in 2020 with no fans, basically. They had about 5,000 people there in the COVID-19 crazy year. The September games had almost no one there. There'll be a few people at this game on Saturday and ready to go for the Cards and Miami. If you're looking to go to that game or any of these big matchups, we're going to be talking about Alabama, Tennessee briefly, Michigan, Illinois, any of the big-time matchups. It's going to be a tough ticket, and use the Ticket Smarter mobile app, ticketsmarter.com, and the Ticket Smarter mobile app, and the promo codes are right there on the screen if you see them. WCE10 takes $10 off a $100 order, and WCE20 for an order of $300 or more. Gary, for the better seats, like at Neyland Stadium for Tennessee and Alabama, you're not going to get 2 good seats for under $300. So use that promo code WCE20.
You are not going to get 1 seat.
Probably,
for below $300. It's no. I have.
You're looking right now.
You know me. Like I'm an Alabama fan. I thought about going. It is the cheapest. The get-in price. It's over $350.
There you go. That's just to get in.
Yes.
Forget about the best seats. So use Ticket Smarter. Use the Ticket Smarter mobile app, and whether we're talking about that Stanford NC State game, I can't imagine that you'd have tremendous trouble trying to get to that one on the farm and get a good ticket. But I mean, for these better games, we're going to talk about Georgia, Texas. Coming up, Clemson back at home. If you've got friends, acquaintances that are looking for a discount on the secondary market, do it with Ticket Smarter. Their purchases are safe and secure. Their algorithm has the best pricing on the secondary market, and use those promo codes. $100 or more, save $10. WCE10, save $20 off a purchase of $300 or more. This is good for the NFL, for any of the games, the baseball playoffs that are ongoing, concerts, all of it. Ticket Smarter mobile app. WCE20 is the promo code. They're proud sponsors of 3-Dog Thursday and everything that Gary's doing on the WCE platforms, on the Winning Cures Everything platforms. Looking forward to all of it. My friend, pick it back up.
Hey, yeah, go ahead. Looking at ticket prices, do you know what? So Alabama, Tennessee is the most expensive this week. It's even more expensive than Texas, Georgia. Do you know what the third most expensive is?
I would have guessed Georgia and Texas would be like first or second. Is it the Michigan-Illinois game in Champaign?
It is not. It is
what you got for me?
You're in the right conference, though. Indiana hosting Nebraska.
How about that? And it's the big noon game, and it's Memorial Stadium.
$127 to get in.
Wow, Memorial Stadium in Bloomington. Indiana ranked. Indiana with a favorable schedule for the remainder of the year.
How about that Kurt Signetti? Oh, I love that guy.
Yeah, he's stoking it with some cockiness, with some swag, which is helping. And that's the big noon kickoff game, right? That the Fox pregame show will be at. Again, use Ticket Smarter. Get in the game with Ticket Smarter. Promo code WCE20, whether it's that Indiana game or any of these other games that we're talking about on the college football slate. Let me tee you up. Underdog number 2. Where are you going next on 3-Dog Thursday, Gary?
Next, for me, I am going right here in the Bluff City. And I'm going to go against the home team. North Texas is all the way out to a 12.5-point underdog. North Texas is pretty good. Excuse me. Eric Morris is the coach for North Texas, and they are 3-3 against the spread, but they are 5-1 straight up already this year. North Texas is good. Memphis also 5-1. They are 4-2 against the spread this year. North Texas is aggressive, and this Memphis defense has been pretty good. They're number 49 in PPA allowed per pass. They're number 54 in PPA allowed per rush. But you look at what they've played, number 116 strength of schedule. When they went up against somebody that was comparable to them, now, granted, Florida State, that was a close game, but Florida State's got talent. Navy, much more, aligned with what they were trying to do offensively, etc. They ate Memphis alive. It was like 600 total yards on Memphis' defense. North Texas can scheme them open. I think that North Texas keeps this thing relatively close. It's certainly closer than 12.5. I've got the number at 5.5. Based on the last 4 weeks of stats, I've got North Texas favored by 4. So
interesting.
The momentum is certainly on the North Texas side, but North Texas hasn't exactly played anybody like Memphis either. I just think that this is a game that is going to see a ton of points. And when you get a game like that, whoever gets the ball last has a chance to win the game. So you're looking at a 2-possession game over a field goal and a touchdown. 12.5 seems crazy to me. I'll take North Texas plus the 12.5, and let's get the card up.
Get the card. Get that card up there by the camera. We can sort of see that card. Turn it a little more. Your ink is a little halogen there on that, but we know what you got. You got North Texas there plus 12.5. Now, I'm a Memphis Tiger, as you know. Again, it was a weird week last week because of Hurricane Milton. They couldn't come to Tampa to play the game. They played the game in Orlando. Speaking of no fans, Gary, there were basically about 1,000 people there, literally, because of the switch of the game to Camping World Stadium in downtown Orlando. And Memphis got out to a 14-0 lead right away and just kind of played blah the rest of the way. Got a fourth quarter touchdown and won the game 21-3. South Florida bad without Byron Brown, the quarterback. They have no offense, so that was an easy day. But you mentioned that Navy really torched them. Navy's that option offense, and they can throw the ball a little bit as well. It befuddled Memphis. I just don't know about this North Texas team. I mean, granted, it's a step up in competition, but Texas Tech annihilated them. So obviously, Memphis doesn't have the talent level probably that Texas Tech has, especially on defense. But this will be interesting in Memphis here because the Tigers are still keeping hope alive for the end of the year in the American Conference Championship game to be one of the top 2 teams. And they already have a loss to Navy. All right, so again, you will go Mean Green.
That Texas Tech game that North Texas played, so that one, so Chandler Morris is the quarterback for North Texas. And looking at what they did, hold on. All right,
they gave up almost 50 points in the first half of that game.
Yes, and the reason behind that was because I had a bet on North Texas in that game because it was double digits as well. It was a touchdown, then a field goal, then North Texas. So it was 10-7, then it was 17-7. North Texas missed a field goal. They threw a pick six. They threw another interception that gave Texas Tech a 25-yard field and let's say 3 and out. And that was
avalanche.
Avalanche.
Total
another
avalanche
pick.
At that point, right?
Yes, it was just constant. It was nothing but turnovers and missed field goals, missed opportunities. 3 turnovers for North Texas, and 2 of those were in that first half. It was just a debacle from the get-go. So, hopefully for me, this one becomes more of a game than that one.
I'm sort of rooting for you because you're getting 12.5, but I want my Tigers to win the game.
Oh, yeah.
When it's all said and done. Let's see. So that's your second underdog. Now, I have not yet dabbled in the Sun Belt Conference on 3 Dog Thursday this entire year. Notice how I phrased that for Gary and the audience. That means that's exactly what I'm doing today on 3 Dog Thursday. I'm going to look at the Georgia Southern Eagles playing the JMU James Madison Dukes. This is the same James Madison team that bludgeoned North Carolina earlier in the year. But by the same token, they also barely beat Gardner-Webb the week before. They have a loss to Louisiana Monroe. I know they've got a high-powered offense, but I'm looking at Georgia Southern and the quarterback Dexter Williams, who came in last week to spark a 21-point fourth-quarter rally late in the game as they came back and beat Marshall 24-23. Did you know, Gary Seegers, that was the 4th consecutive ATS cover for Georgia Southern? They're 4-1 on the year, 4 straight covers now against the
Helton.
number. So Clay Helton and Georgia Southern, speaking of Memphis, a former Memphis guy, former USC coach, Georgia Southern getting a 10 spot at home. I know that James Madison has got firepower. Again, that game with North Carolina was more of an avalanche of North Carolina giving up a punt return touchdown, a pick 6 touchdown, but they still had 50-something points in the first half on North Carolina. I don't see that happening in Statesboro. No. Give me Georgia Southern off the high of that win with Dexter Williams. He's the Indiana transfer, right? Speaking of Cignetti at quarterback. We go back to the cards. This is Georgia Southern plus the 10, brother. Sun Belt Conference doggy. Care to dissuade me at all about JMU in the matchup Saturday afternoon?
So I couldn't take it because my number on it is James Madison 11.5. Based on the last 4 weeks, it's got James Madison minus 24. But my numbers loved James Madison when they were going down to Monroe, right? And they got beat outright by Louisiana Monroe. So I think that James Madison is really good. I like their quarterback. I like what they're doing there. Their defense. I mean, now granted, Here's what you're looking at. Georgia Southern has played the number 34 strength of schedule in the country. James Madison, number 129. And so they haven't really played anybody.
And that includes really playing North Carolina, to your point, who
is not very good.
Yeah.
Who cannot throw the ball. James Madison is number 3 in PPA allowed per pass. Teams throw the ball on them over 56% of the time. You know, that's what Georgia Southern wants to do. Georgia Southern's actually better at running the ball. I could certainly see Georgia Southern keeping this thing close. You got a 4-2 team and a 5-1 team. Like this,
I'm bringing my subtle sign back across the screen for the video audience. It's gonna float right by. give me the Georgia Southern Eagles in this Sun Belt matchup Saturday afternoon. And so when it's 28-0, Gary will send me a text that James Madison is killing them. We will find out. It is 3-Dog Thursday. A few remaining moments. 2 more underdogs to go. My friend, do we want to tell them about another sponsor? Our friends at Go Sleeves. Let's do it right now. As you see on the screen, our friends at Go Sleeves, our proud sponsor of 3-Dog Thursday, want you to know if you need help with the knees, the calves, the elbows, Go Sleeves has got kinesiology technology, and that ain't easy to say. How does it help you? It increases blood flow. As you see on the screen, it also helps with inflammation. It helps you better athletically. You recover quicker. Again, if you are a tennis player, a runner, a biker, a weekend basketball player, you play pickleball, whatever the case is, Go Sleeves, you see on the video for biking, running, weightlifting, any of it, for mobility, to help with inflammation, to help with blood flow, you need to get Go Sleeves. It is go time with Go Sleeves, and they are a proud sponsor of 3-Dog Thursday. And there's even a promo code, my friend. WCE gets you a discount off your purchase with Go Sleeves. These are great. If you're a weekend warrior, if you're looking to train, cross-train, etc., and you're a little older and you need it for the knees, the calf muscle, the elbow, etc., Go Sleeves.
You got little ones at home that want to wrestle all the time.
You gotta saddle up with a Go Sleeve knee brace or elbow brace. If that is the case, use those kinesiology sleeves from Go Sleeves. GoSleeves.com, promo code WCE. It is go time with Go Sleeves. Go time for you. Give me one more underdog.
Hey, real quick. We are real lucky that I do not have a black eye. I got hit with an elbow by the boy who was pretending to be Seth freaking Rollins. I don't know if you watch WWE.
Right,
now.
The WWE.
Man, I got hit with an elbow just right here that I thought.
The bionic elbow.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He's reenacting too much wrestling, and you need the Go Sleeves.
He killed. I need the Go Sleeves for more than just that, but he is certainly the main culprit.
All right.
We'll say that. GoSleeves.com/WCE.
We love that. By the way, we've got some audience weighing in. We're doing this live on Gary's platform, on the Winning Cures Everything platform. We'll get to a couple of audience questions if they've got questions about games, etc., that we haven't covered. You've got another underdog. I've got one more remaining. Where are you going next, my friend?
I'm going out to Corvallis, Oregon. That's right, Reser Stadium. And I'm going to take Oregon State plus 7.5. UNLV has been lights out. They're incredible this year. However, I don't think they've had to deal with going to Corvallis at night very often, and that place is absolute nightmare fuel for the opponents. Always has been, always will be. UNLV coming in at it. They opened at 6.5. It's out to 7.5 now. I love it. Past the touchdown with that hook. There are certainly numbers that you can look at that would make you think that UNLV should be the favorite here. They are really, really good on defense. Bringing in Catalan, who was at Arkansas, went to Texas for a brief stint, and now is back with Barry Odom at UNLV. He has been the coach of that defense, and he has totally shored up that secondary. And you start to look at the offense. Oregon State is not very good against the run. They're number 129 in predicted points added allowed per rush, number 123 in rushing success rate allowed. That's what UNLV does best. They're number 31 in PPA per rush and number 77 in rushing success rate. So they're not great on a down-to-down basis, but they can be very explosive and whatnot with that running game. And it's that Brennan Marion go-go offense that's really, really good. I think that Oregon State is going to be able to run the ball here. I think they're going to be able to slow this thing down. And like I said, that home crowd gets fired up, especially when they are an underdog. And being more than a touchdown dog to a Mountain West team, Oregon State ain't used to that. Up in this spot, I love Oregon State catching points, especially more than a touchdown. I got my card ready. We'll see if we can see it. But Oregon State, you can't read that. I gotta fix my lights. There we go.
We'll work on the props. We'll work on the prop. There it is. It's closer. It's good enough. It's in orange. It says plus 7.5. This is prime time on the CW network, by the way, Saturday night. And you're right about Corvallis being an equalizer. And I'm trying to reflect on where I had Oregon State earlier in the year. I know I went at them with San Diego State in week 2, and Oregon State handled them, smothered them on defense. And then I went to Oregon State the following week on week 3 and took 16 points. I'm trying to remember against somebody.
Oregon.
It was Oregon, and against Oregon they got blown out in the second half. Thank you. I had repressed that, I think, from my memory banks for Oregon State. So it's interesting that you're going to go Beavs here on a Saturday night in Corvallis against a very improved UNLV team, as you're making mention of. They had an eye-opening, easy win at Houston early in the year. They've won a couple of other games as well. Played a wild game with Syracuse earlier in the season too. So Barry Odom's UNLV team, another one here on 3 Dog Thursday to keep an eye on. So that's number 3 for you.
Since 2019, they are 6-3 against the spread as an underdog at home. So they do cover 66% of the time.
I mean, some of that is Jonathan Smith, obviously the new coach at Michigan State, who had been at Oregon State, but still, you take the number on that. All right, I have one more here before we get to a little audience comment and get out of here on 3 Dog Thursday, and that is the massive game in Austin for Georgia and Texas. I have had success a couple of times recently, including going back at Miami a couple of weeks ago. I went against Miami with South Florida. It didn't work, but I went back at them with Cal and got the cover, even though they had the great comeback. I went at Ohio State against Iowa at home, and they got destroyed, Iowa. But I went right back at them last week as the road team against Oregon. I loved Oregon in that spot, and they won the game outright. All right, so Texas burned me last week with the Sooners, who could not score, but I'm going right back at them in Austin. Why? Because the only team that has beaten the Georgia Bulldogs over the course of the last 3 seasons right now is the Alabama Crimson Tide. So last I checked, Alabama's not playing Georgia this weekend. Thank you. I love Carson Beck at quarterback. This team has a lot of experience, obviously, on both sides of the ball, an outstanding coach. Kirby Smart has been very good as an underdog, including recently. I was looking for his numbers. Kirby has only been an underdog going back to 2021 one time, and they won the game with Clemson in an opening game of the season. But in the previous 3 before that, they had 2 covers, ATS. So he's 3-1 against the number the last 4 times as an underdog. This is rare. You got to go back 3 seasons to find the Georgia Bulldogs as an underdog. Maybe a little letdown here for Texas off the Red River rivalry. Do I have that working as well, Gary Seegers? I think Georgia might win this game outright. I got the card, kids. If you're only hearing us, the card is up. UGA plus the 5, because you're telling me there are 5s out there. Give me hunker down, you hairy dogs, here at Texas. Go ahead.
So I took Texas minus 3.5 on the BetUS show, right?
Interesting.
Because they just look dominant, right? This is a dominant football team in Georgia. There have been some holes in this team, and we have not seen them live up to expectations as of yet. Now, can they? Absolutely. They certainly can. But the last time that they were a road underdog was in 2020 at Alabama, right? Who was on that 2020 coaching staff for Alabama? Do you remember? Who was the offensive coordinator?
Hold on. That was, I'm trying to remember. Was that Dave? That wasn't Dable. No, Dable had left.
That was the current Texas head coach.
Oh, Sarkisian. Sark. That's right. Good call.
And Sark lit him up.
I should have known this because I worked that game on national radio, and Stetson Bennett had a couple of interceptions, and that was what? Mac Jones, Devontae Smith, Jamison Williams, and Sark had a field day. But now Sark is with Texas against Kirby Smart here.
This is right. Now, what could play to your advantage here is the fact that Isaiah Bond, the transfer wide receiver from Alabama that's been lights out in this Sark offense, he is probable in this game. Got banged up a little bit last week against Oklahoma, but it looks like he's going to go. So it looks like he'll be fine, but they have weapons all over the field. Quinn Ewers was rusty to start off last week coming off the injury. looked like he got things kind of sorted out.
Early interception. I mean, if Oklahoma had put anything together offensively in the first half, it's a different game.
Completely,
they just couldn't. They were too inept.
They have no offense. Now Georgia certainly has an offense. I kind of like the over in this because I think both teams are going to be able to score. These defenses are great, but they're not ideal. James in the chat said I took Texas -1. Boy, he got ahead.
How about that? He's ahead big time right now because it's up to 5 numerous places, right? 4.5 or 5 right now on a Thursday afternoon.
I took it yesterday at 3.5. It's moved out to 5 already today.
So a lot of money obviously coming in somewhere on the Longhorns. And you often say this, that when things open up with the limits, et cetera, on Friday, might this thing accelerate to like 6 or 6.5?
You could get close to a touchdown, I think. Yeah, I think you could see close to my number on this. I said it yesterday. It's almost embarrassing. My number on this is Texas -18.5. I mean, it's
just based on all the factors, the stats, et cetera.
You got it. Now, I will admit this. There was somebody in the chat yesterday that said, well, who is the best quarterback that Texas has faced? And I can't give you a good answer. I said it might be the kid from Louisiana Monroe. Like it might be that kid. Because if you look at what Texas has done, they have gone up against, let's see, Colorado State, Michigan, UTSA.
The freshman played for Michigan and was not good in the blowout loss, right?
ULM, the freshman for Mississippi State, the Van Buren kid. Oklahoma, of course, with Hawking.
Right, and he's a freshman too. And by the way, Mississippi State did score on Georgia. I'm well aware on that, and so that's a concern. But I like the Bulldogs. I'm going to do it one more time. I like the dogs in this spot. Is there
anybody better at motivating their team where nobody believed in you, et cetera? You've heard the audio from that, I think it was from the game against Tennessee, where he is it's expletive after expletive. I mean, he's going in on his team. I'd run through a brick wall for that guy. So Kirby Smart knows how to get his guys motivated.
No doubt. Won a lot of games. This is a great matchup. This is the primetime matchup on ABC. We're looking forward to Georgia and Texas, and that is underdog number 3. Before we recap, you want to say something about Alabama, Tennessee? I know some in the audience are interested about that game, which is a high wire act for both of them. Neither one of them needs a second loss, but somebody's getting a second loss in Knoxville. What do you think?
I like Tennessee catching the 3. Peely is the linebacker that was the play caller for the defense. He's kind of the one that was getting the helmet comms. So he's out for the rest of the year. He tore his ACL against Florida last week.
Right.
I still think that what you're looking for from, and this is moving a little bit. I already see some offshores at Bama 3.5, but FanDuel's still got it 2.5. So it's just somewhere around that field goal range. I kind of think Tennessee's going to win this game outright.
What's wrong with their offense in the first half of games? They haven't scored in the Arkansas or the Florida game in the first half.
So
what's going on?
They had guys open, but when you get pressure on Nico, he's not super accurate with the ball right now. Now, he was certainly early in the year when they were playing teams that couldn't get any pressure on him. But, yeah, this one was very tricky because I think Nico's going to have time here.
And how do you trust Alabama after what you've seen now the second half of the Georgia game, the last 10 quarters, the Vanderbilt game, and even the South Carolina win where they escaped? They have not defensively done much at all. So you got Tennessee on the one hand that can't score, and Alabama who can't stop anybody. So something's got to give.
Offense is very similar to like some of these service academy offenses. It's like the Kansas offense almost. If you miss assignments against Tennessee's offense, they are going to hit you for big plays. It's going to happen. And with Alabama's inexperience in the secondary, and especially in some of those spots at linebacker where you got to drop in coverage or you miss the guy that's running the wheel route like South Carolina did. Yes, Nico will be able to put the ball out there to where somebody can go get it. So that's what I'm worried about. And then on the other side, I think that Tennessee has enough on their defensive line, especially in the front 7, even without that linebacker. When they get pressure on Milroe, he makes really bad decisions, especially in road games. So, they haven't had a lot of real serious road games, and this is certainly one where the crowd is just going to be on top of him the whole game. Tennessee at home, I mean, it's hard not to like the Vols here. I know they hadn't played well, but
we remember 2 years ago they tore the goalpost down, had all the cigars out on the field and the whole bit, and then Alabama got revenge big time last year. with Milroe at quarterback. Let's see
Yes.
on that one. The other one that's of interest is Michigan and Illinois, which is the CBS national game going on at the same time as Alabama, Tennessee. We got to have so many screens to keep up with this. And that is what? Illinois like 3.5 at home. I won with them on 3-Dog Thursday earlier in the year with Kansas as a home doggy. This ain't Kansas. Michigan, though, smarting a bit because they've taken a couple of losses, including at Washington recently. Now they roll into Champaign here. Any quick thought, one side or the other on that?
I bet Michigan at 1.5, and before I could even put it on bettingcfb.com, it was already out to 3. So, I mean, it jumped really fast. Right now, if you like Illinois, you can get a 4 out there. There's a few of those, DraftKings, Sport Trade, a few other spots. Bet365 has got 4 as well. But there's also 3.5s out there. So, I don't think that one's going down. I think Jack Tuttle is a significant upgrade for Michigan at quarterback. They don't have a ton of weapons, but I do think that they're in the trenches. They are significantly better than Illinois.
But Altmaier, the quarterback, can play home field and equalizer. Oh, yeah. This is going to be a very fascinating game on Saturday.
Franklin, the wide receiver that came in from UTSA, shortstop in Ole Miss, and now he's back with Barry Lunney, who was the offensive coordinator at UTSA. He's been a godsend for that offense. So yeah, Illinois' offense has been really, really good. I don't think they played Penn State, and that's a comparable defense to what Michigan's got, and they put up 7 points on Penn State. So
this is true. All right. Stay
James
tuned on
in
Michigan.
The chat, by the way. Thoughts on Arkansas and LSU? Have you got a thought on that game?
What do you got? LSU, obviously, how in the world? I'm sitting here 5 days later. How did they win that game with Ole Miss? How did Ole Miss not put that away?
Schedule spot. Well, it's points per possession in the red zone. I think Ole Miss had 13 points on like 4 red zone trips. I mean, it was just they couldn't stick the ball in the end zone.
But I mean, they let the touchdown happen, Ole Miss, in the final minute, and then they give up the touchdown on the first play in the overtime. Nussmeier can throw the ball, and I've had success, and you have too, with Arkansas earlier this year. I'm curious what your read is on that, just real quick. LSU Arkansas.
Did you know that last week was the first cover that LSU has had all year?
Wow.
Yeah. 1-4-1 against the spread so far this season. And
what's
Arkansas,
our number currently?
Our number currently is, let's see, you can get a 2.5 out there. It was at 3. There's a lot of Arkansas love, especially now that we know that Taylon Green is going to play. I feel like Nussmeier is going to be able to throw quite a bit on this defense. But we'll see what Travis Williams, the defense coordinator's got, because, I mean, he devised a game plan for nope, there's no more 2.5s. It's down to 2.
Interesting.
Best you can get is 2.
And again, if the number goes up or down after Thursday, we're only giving you Thursday live here as part of 3-Dog Thursday on the Winning Cures platform and on the pod. Interesting how that fluctuation.
I got LSU by 4, and my last 4 weeks number is Arkansas minus 1.5.
Wow. Well, and again, huge game still looming for all these top teams, including an LSU-Alabama game later on in the year as well, for whatever comes of this weekend, including Alabama at Tennessee. By means of recap, Mr. Seegers, do you want to use your cards, has NC State against Cal, and he's getting 10.5 points in that afternoon game. There's that one. Well done. I will go Louisville in the early afternoon against Miami, and I'm now getting 5. That's why I scratched out 4, because Gary gave me 5 on the show. You're going to go North Texas. I don't know how well we can read the card. North Texas against Memphis. There's the North Texas card, plus 12.5. I am going to go Georgia Southern in the Sun Belt right there with James Madison at Statesboro. Again, Georgia Southern, for what it's worth, 4 straight covers, ATS. I know James Madison's good. And your third underdog will be Oregon State at home. Lower that a little. There they are, the Beavs at home with UNLV. I'll say UGA. Georgia in the primetime game with Texas getting 5. With that, a final thought, my friend. Great stuff. We've been here for a little bit. I appreciate your time and your patience. Anything else on 3-Dog Thursday?
It was good to be back with you. I'll say that. We went a little over, but I've really enjoyed actually getting to talk to you for a little while.
I love this as well. I know you're busy. Great work from Gary with Parker and Kyle on the BetUS College Football Show. See those 2 parts from Tuesday and Wednesday for a lot more handicapping. You got a lot of great stuff here. And Gary does a great job picking every prominent game right here on the platform either through winningcureseverything.com or the Winning Cures YouTube page. My friend, thank you again for another week. Everybody utilize Ticket Smarter. On the video, you're seeing me point to it. Ticket Smarter's mobile app, and the promo codes WCE10 or WCE20 if they apply. Good luck with your underdogs, Gary Seegers. Thank you, my friend.
And with yours. And don't forget, GoSleeves.com/WCE.
Go Sleeves, another sponsor here on Three Dog Thursday. We thank them. If you got the elbow, the knee, the calf bothering you and you're playing sports, biking, tennis, pickleball, weekend basketball, any of it, GoSleeves.com for those sleeves at WCE, the promo code. For now, we are good with the underdogs for another week on Three Dog Thursday. Bye.